Hey, guys.
Hey, Joe.
Sup, Sleepy?
What's going on?
Well, Barry has us here for another ranking tier.
Oh, yeah? I'm down. What's it for?
We're going to rank all the Dead Space games.
Really riding that survival horror dick hard, aren't you, Barry?
Oh, fuck off, Don. The way things are going, you'll be riding one yourself with your new roommate named Bubba.
Fake news!
When did the original come out again?
2008. A great year. Fallout 3. GTA 4. The Dark Knight.
Didn't we win the Oval Office in 2008, too?
Of course you wouldn't remember, you fossil.
I'm getting real tired of your shit, you balding fuck.
Guys, enough. Can we get this going? I don't want to be here all day.
Fine.
Yeah, okay.
All right. There's not a lot of games in this franchise, so this shouldn't be too long. We'll start with the OG Dead Space, of course. EA's first entry into sci-fi horror with Visceral.
Rip Visceral.
Sad times.
I don't think I need to explain the way this game became a true titan among sci-fi horror. Bursting out of the gate running, it was a real banger from start to finish. The atmosphere and tension seemed like a beacon amongst a sea of action shooters like Gears of War and Call of Duty. Truly a breath of fresh air.
Wow, obviously not a fan of the FPS.
Not really, no.
Too bad. I thought you would be, considering all the drone strikes you can do in them.
Eat a dick. Anyways, I think it's pretty obvious that this is an S-tier product.
Whoa!
Hey, wait a minute.
What? You've got to be shitting me. Really?
Look, I don't know how many flags you're not seeing with those rose-colored glasses on, but this thing was far from flawless, Bear.
I agree with Donny on this one, Barry. It's a fantastic first entry into the series, but it had its downsides.
The gameplay resembles Resident Evil 4, which we've already talked about how it influenced the creators to go from making System Shock 3 to this. Keeping the entire game inside a derelict spacecraft gave off the sense of terror and claustrophobia, especially since the monsters can jump out of the vents at any moment. It was a great mix of System Shock and the 1997 film Event Horizon.
The necromorphs are terrifying creatures to fight, I agree, but having them lay there and play dead like a skinned space possum killed the immersion sometimes.
No cap. Running around the corner to see one just taking a nap got annoying after the fourth or fifth time.
Really, Joe? You're going to lecture me about ugly creatures that take naps?
Retract your claws, Barry. I'm just saying that the constant jump scares was monotonous.
A small thing when compared to the entire game. The different kinds of necromorphs to fight and the variety of guns to use against them. The story itself with the introduction of unitology and the marker to make us whole. All of these alone make it top tier.
Did he just say make us whole?
That's what I heard.
I said the marker as a whole.
Okay, well anyways, all good points, but you're also forgetting some things. The shitty zero-gravity segments.
Taking long-ass leaps from wall to wall just made me feel like a space frog.
That motherfucking asteroid turret section.
That shit was cancer, especially on harder difficulties.
And let's not forget the characters themselves.
Don't you dare talk shit about my boy Isaac.
How can I? He had no personality whatsoever, seeing as how he never spoke aside from grunts here and there. He was basically a plank of wood doing errands for the others.
Nicole wasn't any better either. She only showed up once in a video and a hallucination, but other than that, nothing. No characterization to speak of at all.
This is bullshit.
Sorry, Barry, but it's an A-tier game at most.
I have to agree with Donny.
Fine, whatever. Let's move on then to Dead Space Extraction.
Wait, what?
Extraction? That shitty rail shooter for the Wii?
Yes, I said all the games, not just the good ones.
Interesting.
The only thing it had going for it was an expansion on the story, showing how the Ishimura crew set up the events to the first game, but other than that, it was trash.
Too true. The Wiimote was a pain to use for not only aiming the weapon, but for hacking consoles and picking up items too. And I'll say it again. It's a rail shooter on console.
I hear you, D tier. But only because the story kept it afloat for continuity's sake.
I can live with that.
Same.
And since we're doing all the games, I suppose that means we have to rank that shitty puzzle 1, 2?
Oh no.
Yep. Dead Space Ignition.
Knew it.
Dear Lord, this was a game you'd get from the bottom of a Captain Crunch cereal box.
Yeah, this one is a weird one.
The only reason for this to exist is to set up the events between the Dead Space Aftermath film and Dead Space 2, but they didn't put as much thought into it as Extraction. All you do is watch comic book panels with voice acting and then do a puzzle. There is a choose your path feature in it, but it really didn't matter at all.
This wasn't even really considered a game for console, and I feel bad for the people who actually paid money on it.
All right, before we keep pissing on its corpse, I'll put it in D tier and we can get back to the actual games. Next up, Dead Space 2.
Fuck yes, here we go, a proper sequel. Took everything about the first game that made it good, discarded the bad, and expanded the story.
No joke. The new javelin weapon, new enemies to fight, and don't forget how the game starts off too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That shit was so fucking dope and kicked off the insanity of this entry, and never seems to stop throughout. Isaac showing the influence of what the marker had done to him, and Ellie being a top-tier badass, even after getting her eye ripped out.
And speaking of eyes, don't forget the machine.
How the fuck can I? Loads of fun.
Moving the game from a single ship to a large-scale space station was definitely the right move to make. Actually witnessing the chaos as it's happening rather than after the fact really put things into a different perspective on how fast the necromorph plague can spread.
It's always a good thing for a sequel to go bigger.
Also, that one chapter of Isaac going back onto the Ishimura was tense as fuck. I love that moment. In fact, I would probably have to say that there really aren't too many bad things to talk about for the sequel.
Maybe we should try?
Well, if I had to pick one, it would most likely be how fast-paced it feels. Almost like it's slowly turning into an action horror game, much like Resident Evil did. And even with that being the case, it's not too bad. They also seem to tone down the jump scares.
It's pretty obvious that this one is S tier.
Definitely.
Agreed. Up it goes. Okay, gentlemen, here it is. Dead Space 3.
Fucking hell, this game was a shit show. It was almost utter trash from the start.
Can't argue with that, Donny.
Now wait a minute.
Are you fucking serious, Sleepy Joe?
Jesus Christ, Joe.
It's finally happened. His last brain cell has withered away.
Shut up, you orangutan, and listen. I know that this one gets a lot of hate, but I didn't have too many problems with it. The new crafting system was good, allowing yourself to create whatever gun you wanted to make. It turns the marker into a much bigger threat, literally. Plus, there were side missions to complete all around the planet.
How can you possibly give OG Resident Evil 4 shit, but like this one?
First off, unless you were playing co-op, some of those missions were locked and couldn't be completed. In fact, in order to get 100% of the story, you were forced to play with another person, which also made the horror aspect of the game vanish. Imagine that, the horror aspect gone in a sci-fi horror game.
And the weapon crafting? Garbage! The large variety of weapons throughout the series, including the beloved plasma cutter, were gone. And since we're on the topic, all the ammo had been converted into just one type.
Come on, guys, the little scavenger robot was funny.
You bought that?
Jesus Christ.
Whatever, I didn't have time to go around scavenging for parts.
How are you so fucking busy that you didn't have time to play the game while you were playing the game?
Enough. Joe, look, this game was doomed when it released, replacing all the horror for action, forcing co-op in order to get the entire story, changing the weapons and ammo, microtransactions.
Not to mention that shitty love triangle for no fucking reason except to make a villain out of Norton to move the plot along.
You are the real problem here, Clark, but not anymore.
Also that the entire game is on a snowy planet, mostly in the daytime. Dead Space 3 is almost exactly like Resident Evil 5.
Come on, I wouldn't go that far.
Joe, it not only left the entire franchise on a cliffhanger for 10 years, but it killed Visceral Games.
Rip, you beautiful bastard.
Shit.
Sorry, Joe, but Donnie's right. It belongs in C tier.
Come on, that shit goes into D tier and you know it.
No way, it's not nearly as bad as that puzzle game, but its numerous crimes are too much for it to be put into B. So high C it goes.
Fine.
Okay, let's finish this up with what we've been waiting for. 10 years later, we got the Dead Space remake.
Hell yeah, back on the Ishimura with better graphics.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Can't agree with you more. Plus, they kept all the things from the OG that made this game such a staple in the horror genre.
True, everything was basically done beat for beat from the original back in '08. However, the personalities of the characters were widened, and even Nicole had more to do now that they gave her her own side story.
However, I don't know why their new character models look so different now. Nicole looks like Glenn close after opening the Ark of the Covenant.
Is she too old for your liking, Creepy Joe?
Oh, and I suppose she's just perfect for you, right? A complete 10 out of 10?
Joe, I don't objectify women. I'm a complete gentleman, probably the most gentlemanly in the history of the world.
Shut up, guys. This was the last chance EA had to bring back a beloved franchise to life.
Yeah, one that they killed.
Facts!
And I think they did it right. They listened to fan feedback, getting rid of that shitty asteroid turret section and making a better one, redoing the story so it can flow well with Nicole's new side plot. Even Elizabeth Cross had a more in-depth ending than she did in the original. Knowing that the Nicole twist for Isaac was coming in the remake made it better with Elizabeth being a part of it now. I respected that.
The zero-gravity sections were much better now, too. Being able to move around like in any direction rather than leaping from surface to surface was a good move to make.
And with EA asking fans if they would want a remake for the sequels shows that they know they did well by us.
I also want to point out that having Gunnar Wright come back as Isaac was a peak decision.
This was a straight banger for me, not gonna lie, S tier.
Yep, S tier.
Say less.
Wow, nothing for B tier, huh?
Well, this series isn't all over the place like Resident Evil. Basically, you got good ones and bad ones, no middle ground.
I can see that.
This is the second remake we've ranked in S tier.
So?
Just noticing. And wasn't there a Dead Space mobile game?
Yeah, I think there was, but it was completely shut down in 2016, making it a moot point.
Did you guys play Callisto Protocol? Bill told me that it was just as good as Dead Space, if not better.
I'm out of here.
Me too.
See ya.
Man, I just want to rank shit with you guys.